Good morning. It's nice to be back today. We're gonna work on the Roman period in the game. Let me know if this is too loud. I was adjusting microphone settings and things like that, and the audio may be a little bit off, but hopefully not. Hopefully I made it better, but we'll see. We might be maxing things out here. Well, we're into the Roman period. I know you probably can't tell too much, because this is kind of all periods together, but there's the Roman period right there. It actually spreads across the whole site, but that's the part you can see right now. And we're working on getting this to play nicely with everything else that we have here. So we need to try to figure out a way to get these blocks to appear and disappear when they need to. So I'll show you the little issue we have. You'll see here in a moment. Let's give it a shot. All right, let's keep going. Okay, here we go. It's all ready here. So there's the game. We're not gonna jump straight to the Roman period. You'll see what I mean here in just a moment. But let's just build up from the familiar starting ground. We'll see the tutorial jump in here pretty soon. There it is. Parts of the tutorial are working, which is always nice to see. Thank you for being kind and telling me what we need to do. I need to get rid of that press the I key one. I need to figure out a way to time that one. Right. We're getting there. So let's just build the little two-stage tower here. And it time travels through, and it's great, and then watch right in this location here in just a second. Boom. Okay, that's the plinth of the little Roman temple tomb, and it should not appear at this time. So, all the rest of the Roman temple tomb pieces are behaving. They're not appearing at this time either. So, we need to figure out what's going on here. Everything else is behaving itself except this one piece. So it's time to dive into a little bit of how I structure these scenes. So this scene is divided into a lot of different areas, and then each area is divided into stages. So here's the tower that we start with, and that has its own area. If we look, it's under the tower area group, and here's the tower area manager. Okay, so that manages the tower, and the tower has 3 stages. That's the ground floor, the first floor, and the second floor. Or if you're American, the first, second, and third floors. So, and then each stage manages all of the various game objects that go into creating each part of the building. And each stage is kind of like if an area is like a paragraph, then a stage is like a sentence, and then the individual game objects in that stage are the words. Okay, so that's how that works. And they all kind of turn things on and off as the time period demands. So that's what's going on. Like the parish church part, which is the rest of the building, is composed of 5 stages and its own area manager, which is great. The Anglo-Saxon period here, the pre-conquest period, that has its own, it's got 1 area and 1 stage right now because there isn't actually a ton of interaction in this part. Strangely, the Roman period actually has 3 areas. It's got the default temple tomb area, the ruined temple tomb area, and then it's got the octagonal temple area. And each one of these has 1 stage. So the reason for this is actually a narrative one in the game, why this little tiny, this one period with actually not a whole lot of interaction in it, and just a couple of buildings, why is this split into so many areas? It's like 3 little one-sentence paragraphs. And that is because the player can jump into the Roman period in 3 different ways, at least that I can think of right now. So the 3 different ways are they can pick up an artifact during building, and they can jump into that. Well, it all is based on them picking up an artifact, but it depends on when they picked up the artifact and when they choose to jump. So a player can go through most of the game and really not pick up anything. They can miss lots and lots of stuff. And then they can choose when they're going to jump in time. So that means that if I want to do something narratively that happens in one branch of narrative but not in another, I need to have some kind of alternates all set up here. And so, for example, in this case, at a certain point when the player is rebuilding the parish church, they encounter 2 artifacts that appear at the same time. Fortunately for me, as a game design issue, they can only pick up one of those artifacts or none of the artifacts. They can't pick up both at the same time. So depending on which artifact they pick up first, that reconfigures the entire Roman period, and the player may never see this little temple tomb. They may see the big octagonal Romano-Celtic, Romano-British tomb, not tomb, but temple instead. So they'll either see a Roman cemetery or they'll see a Romano-British holy site. And that kind of is a different experience for the player. So, but if they pick up neither of those 2 artifacts and they just keep on with the game, eventually they'll get the time capsule, which has another Roman artifact in it, which will allow them to travel back to the Roman period. If they do that, they're going to see nothing at all in the Roman period. So they need to see something. So they'll see the plinth. They'll just see the base of the Roman temple tomb. They'll be able to click on that, and they'll be able to rebuild the entire Roman temple tomb. So they'll get the Roman temple tomb period. So I have to have a default area on, which is the one that if they just blast through the whole thing and don't time travel. And then I have to have 2 different areas depending on which artifact they pick up first, if they pick up any of them. So it sounds really complicated, and it is, but I haven't had to recode any of my systems, which means my systems do offer this design opportunity, which is a pretty cool thing. So, yeah, that's where we're at. And that's what we're going to try to work on. We're going to try to get that little plinth base of that Roman tomb to not appear unless it's supposed to. So we're going to work on that here. Okay. And if you can hang on for just a second, I'm going to just check on something. Let's see what we got here. Okay, that's fine. There we go. All right, we're good. Okay, so I'm not 100% certain how my areas and my stages and my individual objects are all interacting with each other. The stage manager, here's the default stage, it does know that it's got one game object in it, which is the plinth, which is right here. And that plinth is, I was hoping that if the default stage, if the stage was locked, that it would turn off those game objects in this list. It does not. So I've got to find out a different way to turn that off until it's needed. Because that does work elsewhere in the game. So I've got to figure that one out. So I think what I need to do is this plinth is going to allow itself to, it's going to rebuild this object. but it's going to do it not as a piece of rubble, because if the player jumps back to the Roman period without having picked up anything else, they're just going to see the plinth base. That's all they're going to see. They're not going to see any rubble or anything like that, because how this tomb gets ruined is a different part of the narrative. So I think what I need to do is to make this more like some of these building pieces here, where you actually have a choice or not on what to build. So that requires a few other steps. So let's at least add one of these steps to it. So I'm going to add, boy, it's been a long time since I worked on this one. An object placement RT script. This is kind of a gigantic script that does a lot of heavy lifting in the game. We're going to say this one's locked. Are we going to say this one's locked? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's go look at something that I had done earlier to figure this one out. So, where is it? That one's locked. That's the one I want to unfold here. Tower blocks. They don't need anything. Yeah, some of these aren't locked. They just hang out. That's fine. Good. Okay, so I've got to go through here and remind myself. I need to write a manual for this. It's just that it keeps changing so much. Okay, so I don't need to have it locked. It doesn't really have an orientation, although we can give it one. It doesn't need one. Okay, so what it does need is a start date. So we're going to give the start date here is 190. And we're going to give its end date. Ooh, it goes on for a long, long time. But its end date is going to be right around 1060. It's a long lifespan. So its buildable start date is going to be 190. And its buildable end date is going to be 210. Okay, and that user build date gets set automatically. It doesn't have any auxiliary models or position IDs, which is really nice. Auxiliary models would be things like buttresses. And it doesn't have that. It's going to have one piece that it rebuilds, which is not particularly an interesting interaction, but for the demo of this game, it will be good enough. Okay, it's going to have one block option. And now we need a prototype object, so I'll go get that in a minute. And then it needs some fragmented objects. So it's going to need another type of object, so I need to create one of those as well. And it's going to need a few other things here. So let's see, what else do we need? It does need this, which fortunately I have put in place. It doesn't have any initial occupying objects, which is great. It does not have any per period occupiers. Right? Let's think about this. No, I don't think it does. I'm going to have to do some extra work, but right now I'm just trying to hash out getting this thing to behave. I'm going to need to put some more objects in here. And this stage manager will get set. The effects thing will get set later. All this stuff will get... I have so many options in this. It's a little bit crazy. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm trying to think if there's any objects, any of these rebuildable objects that don't need to have a fragmented object built in place first. I think they all need a frag. So that's another thing I'm going to have to go and grab and make a model of. Right now we're just going to try to do some duplicate things. Okay, so sorry for muttering to myself. Here's the whole object behavior that we have. Thank goodness that's there. We're going to try to duplicate this. Let me think about how this works. Do we need a my fractured object? Maybe we do, but what happens if we try to duplicate this? Is that going to break things? Hopefully not. Let's give this a new name. Can I give this a new name? We'll find out. Proto, yep. And that doesn't need the whole object one, it needs the proto, I think. Oh, so many different things. Okay, and then we've got one more duplicate of this. This one's going to be called frag. And let's go look at some frags and protos here. What do the protos need on them? Ooh, they need a whole object behavior as well. Huh. That's interesting. Just going to look here and see what we need. And they need their good component. Okay. This has got a GUID, that's great. So it just needs the proto script. Great. And it doesn't need anything else, so that's fine. Oh yes, it does need a new shader put on it though. And then it needs to go live far off screen. Yeah, okay. It needs the outline matte. That's the material it needs on it. Boy, I don't even know if that outline material is going to work with this object. That'll be interesting. It may not display very well at all. It may be pretty ugly. That's okay. It's all just kind of placeholder right now. Just going to try to get something to work here. So that proto works, which is great. Because now I need to come up here and I need to give it its proto. Where's my option? There it is. Man, I need to come up with a better system. Oops. Let's do that. All right. Okay, that's set up. So we're one step closer. That has a whole object behavior. That's great, and it needs a fractured object now. This does not need a whole object behavior as far as I'm aware, but it does need a fractured object or fragmented object. My whole object. My whole object behavior. There we go. I don't think I need any of this other stuff in here for now. Once we get this set up, that is. Okay. It's got its GUID components, so that's fine. So this fractured object needs, or this whole object behavior needs that right there. Just going to go up and look in the protos up here. It has a fractured object right there. I'm just trying to find my whole objects here. There they are. Okay. All right. This might work. Okay, one other thing I need to grab now. So I need to grab one of these objects, a particle block, and I need to put this down on the plinth object. The Roman one. So we're getting there. There we go. Okay. All right, let's see where we're at here. All right, that's lined up. Great, now let's just move it into place and scale it up. That works. Nope, that doesn't work because the thing's rotated 90 degrees, so Y is Z now. Okay, that works. And let's move it to where it needs to go. All right. So that's on the ground and doesn't need to be there. It needs to be right about there. Okay. So now it needs to find its particle system. I wonder if it does that on its own, or let's figure that one out. Use my effects. My effects are right here. There we go. And let's change the name of that just down to particle block. And let's just double check that that's all assigned on one that actually works. Yep. Good. Okay, all of that is fine. Okay, so these take a long time to configure. It's okay. All right, that's working, that's working. I think we need a collider on this object. Yeah, we sure do. We need a collider that's about the right size and shape of the object itself. So let's throw a collider on this. Nice box collider will do. And its trigger. And we need to adjust it a little bit. So it needs to kind of, let's have it, actually let's just leave it like that. And let's just increase its size a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. So that's the collider set. Okay, we're definitely going to need to run the pre-populator thing on this. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything else that's important. There's so many settings on this. All right, this will be good enough for now. So let's run that pre-populate script. Oh, it didn't like that at all. Why didn't it like that? 356. Okay, here we go. What's 356 asking for? Oh, it's asking for its GUID component, but it has a GUID component on it. Right. Oh, apparently it does not. Well, that doesn't help, does it? We'll put that in now. There we go. Let's try to run it now. Oh, still didn't like that. Boy, it's really looking deeply here. Why is it even looking at this? Okay, it's only supposed to run pre-populate on this one object. What's it looking for? Huh. Where's it even picking that up? It's got its block options. I gotta jump in there really quickly and see what it's looking for. For everything in the block options. It's gonna go get the whole object component. Okay, there it is. And it needs its fracture object, so there's its fractured object. Okay, let's give it a shot again. Okay, that time it ran. All right, that's all set. I just want to make sure I don't need to run the pre-populate script on this one. So let's go see if it's even got that function. Yep, it needs to run it as well. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, that worked. That's good. Let's run it on this one as well, because it's got a whole object behavior. And this one may need it as well. Yep. Okay. All right. All of those are run, and now it's set up. So let's see what happens now. I still suspect this plinth object is going to appear at the wrong time. So let's see what happens. Here we go. Is it actually appearing in the scene? Its box collider's off, that's a good thing. Its mesh renderer is in fact still on. So it is sort of appearing in the scene. That's okay, let's see what happens. It's not appearing there, so that's good. Oh, it's a collision of issues here. All right. Sorry, we have to run through this part from scratch. All right. Yep, it's still there, so that's not a surprise. Thanks. All right, I really need this guy to only appear when it needs to appear. Well, let's think through this. How we get that thing to only appear when we need it to. Just checking to see if we had any errors during that run. We did not. That's a good thing. So it knows when it's rebuildable. I'm interested why these didn't turn off. That's gotta go live. Very far away now. As does this one. Okay. Ooh, the whole thing appears. Oh, that's interesting. I really want you to turn yourself off when you need to. Let's go into the stage manager object. Look what happens when it starts. So it's getting its object placement, sets its local area manager, sets its stage manager. If locked, lock that game object. It locks itself, I mean. We don't want to do that, do we? What happens if we do? What does the lock function do? It locks every building block. And what does that do? This is such a huge script. It doesn't have a locker? That seems unlikely. Oh, that's the whole object behavior, that's why. Let's go look for it here. Oh, there's too many. Too many in there. I bet it's going to be somewhere near the bottom of the script. Let's keep looking for it. Okay. Loading, saving, unoccupying, occupying. Great. Mouse up. Building its submodels. Oh, come on, where's the lock? Okay, there's the unlock, here's the lock. Turns its collider off, turns its effects off. That's all it does. It doesn't turn itself off. Ooh, noisy traffic outside. My apologies for that. There's always one object, isn't it, that causes a lot of trouble. And it's this guy today. You know, I guess it's not supposed to have its own mesh. That's part of the problem. That's part of our problem for sure. Yeah, I could leave this as a building block in place, but need to separate out the mesh, so that's one issue. Because, yeah, okay. Well, I wonder if I just do something really weird and stack on a general object info on top of all of this. We'll say it's occupied, and its start date we said was 190, and its end date we said was 1060, and its user build date's going to be 200. It doesn't have any children or per period occupiers, or use debug on it. Let's just see if that works, if that actually gets the thing to turn itself off. Where's the rest of my pieces of this? I don't know. Oh, here we go. The frags end. Nope, not that either. Well, anyway, let's just see what happens if we do it this way. And does the general object also need to be pre-populated? I can't remember. It's all the time travel stuff. Blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, let's give this one a shot. See what happens. Thing to pay attention to here is the mesh renderer checkbox, so we'll know soon enough. Here we go. The mesh renderer is still on. Marvelous. Well, let's just build, see what we can come up with. All right. In just a second, we'll watch right there. Ooh, actually, it did. Its mesh renderer turned off. Okay, well, good. So something happened at least. Yes, and I want you to use the WASD keys. Okay, good. Well, let's just keep going. You gonna bring up the scroll? Yeah, good. Okay. All right, there's our coin. Let's open the portal. Boom. Off it goes. Back we go, and let's just keep going. Let's test. Actually, let's save this first. And then let's build this up. Because at the end of this, after this next item is clicked, you'll see our two little objects are going to spawn. There's going to be one right there, and there's going to be another, which is a little hidden right there. So these are the two objects, and you can pick them up if you want, but you don't have to pick them up. But they, one of these is going to take us to one period, and one is going to take us to another period. And let's do this one. I don't know why it did that, though. Hey, look at that. There's our piece of crosshead. So that's cool, although it should be picking up its own picture there. Oh well. Let's just call it rubble. Let's open a portal, and let's just see what happens. I assume not much. Hey, look at that. That's what we wanted. Okay, we have the Anglo-Saxon ruins. Okay, that is not what we wanted. We have the Anglo-Saxon ruins, and we also have this. That's exciting. So now the player has two choices. They can either try to build these ruins, or they can try to build these ruins. And if they build these ruins, they'll go back to the Roman era, and if they build these ruins, they will stay in this kind of pre-conquest Anglo-Saxon period. But that's cool. So there's two, we just hit two big branches of narrative here, all at one time. Why did this stay on? I don't know. I'm going to have to, well, it's because it's supposed to be alive in this period, I think. It's not really, but I think that's what's happening. But anyway, that's really cool. I have no idea what will happen if we actually try to rebuild this, and I still have no idea what's going on with the shaders on those walls. Boom. Look at that. The whole thing rebuilds itself. Oh, and then it vanishes. Lovely. And then this should go away, and then it should jump backwards in time. Okay, so we still have a few issues. That's fine. We'll work on that. We've got a couple of things built on top of each other. There's all sorts of good, and by good I mean bad stuff happening here. Like, what's going on with that? Amazing. Okay. Well, good. Those are some things to troubleshoot next time. Because we should, at the end of this, have traveled backwards to the Roman period. Well, at least I now have something to kind of work through. I wish this would rebuild correctly. Like, we need to get... well, maybe this isn't going to work. That wall rebuilds itself. This wall rebuilds itself. And then what we should get is we should get the thatch unburning back on again, but it doesn't. Maybe that's because we need to rebuild that first. Nope. That's not going to work either. Okay, well, yeah, now we're stuck here in this period. Where do we jump to if we open up a period? Oh, that's exciting. We can jump back to this, and all of this then goes away. Well, that's fun. I still got to figure out what's going on with that part of the tower. But it's a good thing. I mean, you can rebuild. The game doesn't crash. It's giving us 102 errors. Oh, I've run out of available spaces for tweening. That's not good. All right. So there's a few things to work on right now, but that's okay. How many things do we have now? Null reference exceptions everywhere. Just when you think you've made some progress. Oh well, I think we can fix these. But we run out of tweens. That's not surprising. There's only so many tweens you can spawn. And I suspect this Roman temple has really wiped out that threshold. So, increase space available for tweening when you initialize lean tween class. So I should probably bump that up again. I think I've got like 800 tweens, and I could probably bump it up to 1,000 or 1,200 or something. Wow. Okay. Well, lots of good things to try to work on here. At least we got that plinth to stop showing up when we don't want it to. Okay. Well, there's a big old chunk of work to work on. I knew it was going to be a problem, which is probably why I've been avoiding it. But we can't avoid it anymore. So, I'm going to work on this over the weekend. And we may not do a stream on Monday because I might have other plans. There might be some family things in the works here, so I may not see you until Wednesday. And again, hopefully I'll be able to keep my microphone. Person keeps borrowing it. Anyway, this was a rough one, but thank you everyone for kind of sticking with it. And I will see you probably on Wednesday, but I might surprise you on Monday. Who knows? All right, until then, have a really great weekend. Bye.